Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, the podcast that features hundreds of interviews with successful students from the premier Amazon seller training in the world, which is called the Proven Amazon Course. You can hear more about it at provenamazoncourse.com. It's only $39 a month and it has everything you'll ever need to build a beautiful business using the most successful e-commerce platform in the history of the world, Amazon.com. We have students all over the world. We'd love to show you how that works. Jump over there and check it out. Like I said, hundreds of interviews, and today's was a really special interview with a really great couple. They're coming up on celebrating their 10-year anniversary. I got to know them a little bit offline when we weren't recording. Beautiful family being built. Looks like they're going to be attending our conference as well, coming up May 2024. Write down this website. It's 3 words. If you want details on our conference, here's the 3 words: theprovenconference.com. That's the website. Go check it out. May of 2024. Like I said, great keynote speaker. Go find out about who we've got there. Happens to be my favorite living author. So you're going to enjoy that, I think. It's just going to be a great time with about somewhere between 600-700 sellers from our community, listeners to this podcast, going to Orlando, Florida. Hopefully you can join us. But today I've got Vitali and Vika, and they have built an incredible business. They've got dozens of bundles that they're selling on Amazon. Now, most of our new sellers in our community, we start them out about 95 or more percent of the time. We start new sellers out with what we call the REPLENS model, and they certainly did that. They did it well. They're still doing some of it, but they've also started venturing into branded bundles, which is just bringing together some items that complement each other, putting them into a bundle on Amazon, selling it at nicer margins. You're creating convenience, you're creating your own listing, you're creating something that other sellers can't necessarily hop on and sell against. So you don't have to worry about the price pressure as other sellers discover what you're doing. A lot of advantages getting into branded bundles, and they're doing it really well. They're looking to have, I'm looking at my notes here, I think they said a $30,000, yeah, $30,000 month right now as we're recording this. And they look to double the numbers monthly of sales going into 2024. They're growing their team, and they explain how they've got their kids helping out their young kids. They've got some neighborhood homeschool kids helping. This is a homeschool family, and they've just hired their first virtual assistant as well, which is a friend of theirs, to help streamline the processes, help things continue to grow. This is very much a side business as well. They've got a full-time real estate business that they run as a family. And then this they've added onto the side, and it's really taken off. I just love my time spent with these guys today. They're very genuine. They speak from the heart. They share what they know. And it's just another great example, if you're new around here, of the hundreds, thousands at this point of families who are part of this community, building beautiful businesses using the internet creatively to launch and grow the future of their dreams. It's just incredible to be a part of this. And I just got to say, it's an honor to get to hang out all day, every day. We got a Facebook group of 74,000 people around the world who are thinking this way and building great businesses. Such a great community. It's completely free. There's a link at silentjimdotcom if you're not a part of it, or if you haven't been in there in a while. One last announcement. I'll ask you to do this. We've made some changes to our email lately, and we've actually cleaned out some old email addresses. And if you haven't opened an email from us in a while, we might have cleaned you out of our database. What you should do is check your email and look for something from me, Jim Cockrum, or just go to silentjim.com and resubscribe. Make sure you're on our email list, because we want you to be informed on all the great tips and strategies. For example, we just published a course last week for Proven Amazon course students. It's added free to your library. For everyone else, it's only $7. And it's me going through 50 examples of inventory from my own Amazon seller account, what the Keep a Chart looks like. And the best part is I'm selling in all cases above buy box. That means all the other sellers are at a certain level, and I'm above buy box selling successfully. Talk about how we do that, what that strategy entails. That's the kind of content you'd be missing out on if you're not on our mailing list, you're not in our Facebook group. There'll be a link to that in the show notes today. It's called the Above Buy Box Training if you're interested in going checking it out. I don't know if the price will still be only $7 because it was a promo we're running, but shoot a note to support. They'll take care of you if too much time hasn't passed since we launched that Above Buy Box course. But that's just an example of what you could be missing out on if you're not on our mailing list or in our Facebook group. Okay, let's jump over and meet Vitaliy and Vika. These guys are awesome. You're going to enjoy our time spent together. Let's get them on the line right now. So, Vitaliy and Vika, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio.
Thank you, Jim. Good to be here with you.
Great to see you guys. Hey, I'm looking forward to hearing more of your story. I know a little bit about you, but let's jump into it. You ready?
Yeah,
let's go.
Go ahead.
So we heard about your podcast, I believe, at the end of 2017. And in 2018, we started listening to your podcast. I would consume your shows basically almost every day. I would just listen through them all and really got excited about how people are changing their lives with e-commerce, with REPLENS model especially. So before that, we built a small property maintenance business in California with Vika, and we built our website, everything did ourselves, and built a 5-star solid business. But e-commerce sounded a lot more attractive to me because I really love the idea that I could be with my family all the time. And
so you had to travel with the property business, or you had to be away from home a lot?
Well, not necessarily. At that time, we lived in California, so I just did my 9 to 5 kind of, I still had to go out and work, basically, providing services for our customers. But I love the idea that you can live anywhere with Amazon, and especially we're homeschooling our kids. So I really just love the idea that you can basically live anywhere in the world pretty much. As long as you have internet, you can actually do this business. It's doable. So what we did was in 2018, at the end of 2018, I think that's when we opened our storefront, our Amazon account, and we start selling in Q4. After listening to modules on the pack course.
Yeah, so we got the pack course. You guys actually helped us out. We were able to buy it with our brother-in-law, and so we were both able to get access to the course. And this was back in the old module before it became, silent sales machine, all that stuff. So it was like back, when it was still in the old system. And so we would go through the modules. I think you had a bundling course at that point with Lisa. And she was just, putting variety packs, more of it together,
right.
And selling it. So it was very old, like the older type compared to now, the branded bundles nowadays. And so we had gone through that, and we had found some REPLENS. I mean, I don't mind sharing because this listing died for us. But we got a 3-pack of the Contigo Auto Spout bottles from Costco, and they were selling as a REPLEN really well, very well. And so we thought, well, what can we add to add value and to, be our own kind of a thing. So we made a branded bundle before branded bundles was the phrase. So we got some straw cleaners because every mom knows those little straws are impossible to clean without them. So we bundled those together and we made a killing. And then Costco went out of stock on them. And then, those sales plummeted because we didn't have a plan. Yeah. So all of our eggs were in that one, couple bundles.
You got a feel for it though. And that's a great example.
We did.
Yeah. To this day, I mean, that's kind of the heart of the branded bundle concept is just, once you learn to recognize a fast mover, how can I enhance or add to this? You don't have to go out and reinvent a popular product. You can add a complementary enhancing product to it. And we've got a lot of people doing really well with that model. That's our provenbrandedbundles.com class, which I'll stick links to that in the show notes. But I love that example. So even a few years ago, you guys were playing around with some of those bundle concepts, doing well with it. Sounds like you guys got pretty excited. Do you happen to remember your numbers? Maybe like that first, few months or that first year?
So the last screenshot we saw was $9,000 a month, but I remember a number of 20,000.
Yeah, I think we made 20,000.
One of the months where we made 20,000. That was probably in 2019 before COVID happened. Mm-hmm. So at that time, things we still had some REPLENS before even we start selling bundles.
Yeah.
Q4 we went into Christmas seasoning and we found some REPLENS and we start selling. But the idea of bundling was much more attractive to us because we love to do heavy lifting, meaning who build their own websites. We like to do the extra work. We don't necessarily recommend for people to dive in the way we did.
There, yeah.
The REPLENS model is the best model for most people, but we started with bundles. And so then after that, basically, life happened. We started having kids, and our COVID happened, but our California business has started taking off pretty well too. So we just got busy with life. And in 2020, COVID happened, and we survived COVID. Our business survived in California, and then we decided to move at the end of 2020 out of state to a different state. So past that, 2 years later, we're still doing our California business. But last year, about month of July or August, Vika.
So I had heard, I think in one of your podcasts, that Nathan, you guys were releasing not branded bundles. It was for
proven brand building.
Proven brand building. Yes.
Yeah.
So I had heard that podcast, and then I believe I purchased it. I didn't wait for it to come out. I purchased it. And then I was basically scouring it, going through it, one by one. And then something stuck out, and I'm like, Vitaliy, you need to listen to this. So he went in, he started listening to it, basically lit a fire in him. Because I remember he came up to me, he's like, Vika, do we have our brand? Is it like trademarked? Is it branded, registered? So I had gone back and I'm like, yeah, we've been registered since we basically started Amazon back in 2018. So we had done that, before. So we already had that in our back pocket. And I lost my trail of thought.
It's okay. I got you. So after that,
teamwork.
Yeah. So after that, basically, after she told me about the course, I went through the course and I got really excited about it. I mean, I told Vika, I'm like, hey, I'm a firm believer in investing into the right people so that they could help you expedite things. So we decided to actually get a coach. And so that way, it goes a lot faster and smoother for us, basically. So that's when we reached out to you guys and got a coach, Liana and Adam Chantos. And
Nice.
Adam, he has his own way how he does bundling. Liana, she has her own way how she does bundling. So we were able to get both sides and kind of build their own system from Liana and Adam. So, life is busy for us. We have 4 kids. The oldest is almost 7. The youngest is 11 months old. So our life is very busy with California business, and but we've been building little by little bundles, and we love it. It's not easy work. You have to put in a lot of work, research, and then being also creative, finding the right products, the complementary products to bundle with the anchor products. So, yeah.
Yeah, and a little bit of our story. So when we started coaching, Adam recommended going into REPLENS first, so then we can build that up and use the profits of the REPLENS to fund our bundles. So we did that, and through last Q4 is basically all REPLENS. We built up our catalog, and then in about April, we were doing really well. In like end of March, April, we saw that our numbers were falling. And then we went and we investigated, and we saw that we had a lot of competition on our REPLENS. So, Vitaliy, like, what is up with this? So basically what we ended up doing is sending back a lot of our REPLENS that had completely halted. And we thought of creative ways to turn them into bundles. And because we had our brand already registered, we had that like key asset that we can implement in our business. And it goes back to Nathan's, brand building course, that we have this brand. Let's utilize it to its fullest potential. So we went, built a storefront by ourselves. And then we, returned, and we basically sent out all these REPLENS that are now bundle REPLENS. And we just saw, progress since that point.
I like to call them replenishable branded bundles. They're still REPLENS, just they're under. Yeah.
And I just love the story behind the stories. I'm listening to you guys share that. Let me just make an observation here and fill in a couple gaps for maybe some newer listeners who are listening to us. We mentioned that course, Proven Branded Bundles. That's one of the modules inside the Proven Amazon course. That's where all of our Amazon training goes, provenamazoncourse.com. And what we did in there was encourage, and I think all Amazon sellers eventually, not day one, maybe not even the first 6 months of the first year, but eventually you're going to need to have a brand that you can put some stuff under to start to build your own territory. That's what we emphasized in that course. You guys took that advice. But what I just heard you say is something I've had bouncing around in my head, because so often we hear people talk about price tanking and price drops as a reseller, and all these sellers hopped on my listing as a negative. But there are so many positives you can walk away from, and you guys just pivoted naturally into this. If a price is tanking and a bunch of sellers are jumping on an ASIN, that just means there's a lot more shoppers looking for that item. So you have a lot of options. One of them you guys mentioned, but the other options are wait a few months, it'll probably come back, or track down the brand that sells that stuff and say, hey, I've noticed there's a whole lot of Amazon sellers all over your stuff. That's a problem they're trying to solve typically, and you can solve it for them. We call that a proven product partnering strategy, where you go in and you help brands represent themselves effectively on Amazon, because obviously they aren't. If they go from having 5 or 10 sellers to having 300 sellers, that's chaos. They may not want that. You can solve that problem for them and get paid well to do it. Or you say, hey, okay, this is a hot product and a hot brand. Let's build some bundles around this. Let's recall some of this inventory, put it into some bundles under our brand. Boom, and it explodes there. So many options. So price tanking is just another flag alert of, hey, opportunity. Just like my mentor says, opposition always equals opportunity. Every single time, if you look at it with the proper perspective. So I love that you guys pivoted in that way. Fantastic. The other thing I wanted to point out is the proven brand building class. Sometimes people say, what's the difference between proven brand building and the brand class that we talked about? Well, branded bundles is just one thing you can do with your own brand. Your own brand can eventually turn into you launching your own products as well, actually creating a new product. We've had some people have tremendous success with that. But kind of the starting point is, let's bundle together products that already exist and put them in under our own label. The ultimate example, someone who's going to be a guest with us at the conference coming up here in a few months in May. Love to see you guys there if you can make it, and listeners too. Theprovenconference.com is the website. But all she does is puts other people's products, none of it are her brands, into gift baskets. The gift baskets are under her brand, and sells those snack baskets and gift baskets, subscription model and otherwise. She's got one if someone's in the hospital, or someone who's just, won a major award, or, congratulations for whatever occasion. And she's got baskets, and her team just makes those. So she doesn't have her own products really, but she has a brand. So that helps illustrate what we're talking about, I think.
She was on your podcast, right?
Yeah. Yep. She was.
I remember her story.
One of the featured success stories. I'll stick a link to it in the show notes as well. It was one of the featured success stories at Amazon's own event here several months ago. Nate and I attended Amazon Accelerate, and that was Amazon hosting an event, and they put 4 highlighted success stories on stage and talked about them quite a bit. Hers was one of them. So for people who are like, I don't know if Amazon likes this branded bundle thing. Well, yeah, at their 3,000 person event, they were highlighting one of those stories as a highlighted story. So we teach it, and that's what the provenbrandedbundles.com class is all about. So, yep, absolutely. And she's part of our community, and we'll be at the event as well. I'm waving at our FedEx guy. He's delivering and picking up packages as he's coming and going. So sometimes people see me waving as I'm talking to guests, like, what are you doing? Like, my window faces our driveway. And there's our dog. So, yeah. So, okay, getting back on track though, you guys are creating branded bundles. I'd love to learn how it's going, or any tips or strategies for others that you might have, and anything else from your story as well. We've covered a lot of ground pretty fast here.
Yeah. One of the things that I would say is that it's hugely important to do keyword research, because keyword research is what customers are searching for. So we found bundles that naturally just sold really fast, really well, and even before they even hit the warehouse, they were already selling off. So, and then there were bundles that we assumed that they would sell well. We haven't done the research that well, and sent them in, and 40, 60 days, they're not selling. So we had to return them basically. But for us, it's a continuous research of bundles and continuous growth. That's what matters, because competition is always going to come with it as well. So we basically, as of now, we're kind of out of time because we're pretty maxed out. So we had to get a VA, virtual assistant, that's going to be helping us with creating those listings for us. She's a really good close friend, friend of ours, which is her best friend, and we trust her. And she just got married, and so she's going to be starting working for us this month, actually.
Excellent. Does she live near you, Vika, or?
No, she was in California and she moved to Texas now, so it's all going to be virtually with us as well. But
Now, where are you guys now? You left California.
Idaho.
We're in Idaho.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Why Idaho? I'm just curious. Kind of random.
So it had to, it had to be. We wanted to move here because it's closer to California,
within driving distance to family.
Yeah, and this state has a lot more freedoms as well.
Sure. Well, who doesn't have more freedom than California at this point, right?
Yep. And plus, for my business in California, I mean, I catch a flight. It's hour and 20 minutes. I'm in California.
That makes sense. Okay.
Hour and 20 minutes.
And I got to imagine, like, property taxes, cost of living, houses, everything's just got to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot better. Yeah,
totally makes sense. For some reason, the geography in my head, I didn't see Idaho that close to California. Those of us east of the Mississippi, that's just a whole nother world, man. So no, that makes total sense now. I get it. I love it. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, where was that?
You hired a virtual assistant.
Yeah.
Because good.
So a little bit of our story as well. So last year when we started with the coach, we were basically doing everything ourselves, shipments, everything ourselves.
Just the two of you guys doing everything. I was going to ask.
Just the two of us, yes. And I was very pregnant with a pregnant belly, sitting there late at night, packaging everything. And then after I had the baby as well, packaging, after some time off. So we got to the point where we couldn't grow if we didn't get help. So we have a local homeschool family that I'm really good friends with the mom, and she has like high school age kiddos. And so her two daughters have been helping us since probably about maybe March of this year. And one of their younger sisters just joined us a couple of months ago as well. So we've been sending in a crazy amount of shipments,
I love it.
Just units, in preparation for Q4. We did, like you said, I think in a couple of your podcasts or maybe it was a Facebook group where you basically said, get ready for FBM to take off as Amazon is, lagging in their shipment. And we actually experienced that with one particular bundle that we created. We didn't realize that it was going to take off because it's our first year of all of these things. So I'm making notes like next year we need to have, times 3 times 4 times the number of this particular ASIN because it's going to fly off the shelf. So I've never done so much merchant fulfilled like in our whole time of selling, even for last year. So this year, just this weekend alone, we did like 19 merchant fulfilled of that one item, and people are buying 1 or 2. So even if it's 2, you just sold almost 40 units in over the weekend, and it's nice. I'm like, oh, we just sold one while talking to you.
Yeah, so I love seeing the stats come in.
That.
Yeah, that's so fun. And for those who don't know what we're talking about, merchant fulfill is simply when it's kind of like selling on eBay. You have to ship it yourself. With Amazon, you can send all your inventory into Amazon and they'll ship it to customers as it sells. Or you can be your own warehouse. You can do both. Several of our ASINs, we're FBA and FBM. We're doing both. And this time of year, like you mentioned, Vika, it's important to be ready to do some merchant fulfill if possible, because Amazon does really slow the sales pick up pace because it's Christmas shopping season, and their ability to check in inventory and make it available to customers slows down. So if you can do some merchant fulfill, we call it FBM, fulfillment by merchant, that is a big benefit for sure. But I'm curious, you said you got some homeschool family friends kind of help on the business. What's that arrangement look like? Is it at your house in your garage? Is it at their house? Like, what's that arrangement?
So it's in our garage. We have little shelves with everything, and we kind of just buy for the week that we want to send in. So we try not to have too much inventory sitting in our garage because, space is limited because we have our own personal stuff in the garage as well. So I think we started with 2 of those long white tables, and now we have how many?
6.
5 or 6 of them that we'll set out. And then our girls, actually, our oldest is almost 6. And then our next one is 5.
7.
Almost 7. Sorry. Almost 7. Can't
Time
believe
flies.
Yes. So she's almost 7 and we have a 5-year-old. So they will actually help us do some prep before
That's
the
amazing.
homeschool girls come. So they'll put it in the poly bags. You know, if we need to have them add any of the branded items into it, they'll go ahead and do that. And then we'll just set it up. Whatever doesn't get finished, the girls will come in, fill in the blanks, and they've caught on super fast. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, I know what's in this bundle if I forget. And I'm like, wow, you guys have good memory. So it's kind of nice that they caught on so quick that they already know what goes in the bundles. And if they have questions, you know, they'll come and ask. So even when Vitali's in California, they'll still come over and do everything. And I'm basically not even needed. And I'm like, this is what I need.
That's so great. Well, let me just commend you guys as a father who, you know, we've got 5 and my youngest is about 17, right? So everyone's older than that. But they grew up in this environment. So I could time travel back to where you guys are, right? Like not 10, 12 years and like I'm back in your guys' situation pretty much. And I can tell you the benefits to those kids for having that hands-on experience working in mom and dad's business and just contributing in a meaningful way. It would take us a full 4.5, 5 hours to just unpack all the incredible benefits.
Yeah.
The family dynamics, the lessons that are being instilled with them, right? Like our culture doesn't teach kids delayed gratification anywhere.
Yeah.
Business does.
Yeah.
It doesn't teach them that discipline of like, okay, that pile of toys, those aren't ours. Those are for other kids. And I'm going to help prep them and package them and send them. Right. That's just such a healthy lesson. And to me, it kind of mirrors, I grew up with the benefit of being raised on a farm. So out of necessity, you're contributing, you're getting your hands dirty, you're in the mix of making it happen. And that's all you know. Like, yeah, being a part of a family means you contribute in some way. Right. And if it can be through a business, oh my goodness, the lessons that are just imparted into those kids. So, all of our kids are very entrepreneurial minded and not afraid to do some work, and they understand the value of business and they understand the benefits of hard work, delayed gratification, and serving others well. Just all those lessons. So I just wanted to take a moment to commend you guys and maybe encourage other families too. One of the unwritten benefits of having a business in your house that your kids can be a part of is all those incredible lessons that, you start filling their moral warehouse with things that they just can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
And the benefits are just numerous. And they'll have memories you guys will forget. Like, really? We used to do that? Like, yeah, I have strong memories of like doing this and this and that for the business. And it was like, when did that happen? Like, really? That was part, and like they'll remember it. Like that's going to be part of their core memories and benefits everywhere. So well done. I mean, you guys may already know some of this, but I can just tell you as a guy who's 10, 15 years on the other side of the season you're in, incredible benefits to the kids.
Well, Jim, thank you. We, 10 years ago when I first met Vika, I kind of shared my vision for the life basically, and I wanted to see, what she thought of it. It was basically 2 things: were building a family business, and second was to homeschool the kids, basically for our future kids. So I kind of laid out that vision, and yeah, in about a year after we got married, we basically built a California business, and both of us participated in it. And now we're building our Amazon business with 4 of our kids already, and 2 of them already participating, helping us. And last week, when 2 of my daughters and I were prepping, putting things into the boxes, I actually told my daughters that we're gonna have a podcast with Jim Cockrum, and she was like, "Well, who's Jim Cockrum?" So I had to go and explain to her that Jim Cockrum, he's the guy that helped us basically build his business, this Amazon business. He leads a large group, so she's gonna watch this video after it gets released.
Well, what's her name?
Her name is Joy, and second one is Evelyn.
Joy and Evelyn. Good job, guys. I'm very proud of you. I'd love to meet you guys someday and keep up the great work.
They love it. They'll go to the store, especially Joy. She will go, and because we're kind of a mix of online, wholesale, and retail arbitrage for now. Our end goal obviously is all wholesale distributors, but we're working up to that. So whenever we have to go to the store and pick something up, like say, we didn't have time to order online and we need it like yesterday. So she will go and she will get into those little in the little shelves and pull everything out, help us put it in the cart, and they'll count it for us. And so we're implementing math into it. Hey, you have to count this. How many are there as you put it in the
Oh,
cart? And they
absolutely.
love that.
And this is perhaps a point to point out. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before or not, but for those who have an appreciation for the timeless truths of biblical wisdom, in the Hebrew culture, who understands the Old Testament, as Christians, we have an Old and New Testament. Hebrews, it's the Old Testament, like it was originally in the Hebrew language. This is the guidebook of that culture. And they understood that a properly educated child has three things. Have you ever heard this before?
Mm-mm.
This is really good. You guys will like this, I think. There's three components to properly educating a child in the Hebrew tradition. There's a vertical, a horizontal, and then a third. I always like to have people guess at what the third is and see if you guys can figure it out. You kind of just hinted at it. But it's basically spiritual. That's the vertical. Understanding of who God is and what my relationship and role is with him. Next is the horizontal, which is interpersonal, dealing with people, talking to people, understanding male-female relationships, what's a marriage, what's a sister, what's a brother, how do I treat a stranger, looking strangers in the eye, shaking their hands. Those, we call them soft skills, but it's basically just learning how to properly act around others, right?
Yeah.
And so far, you get none of that in the public system. Right? Like that's all the shelved, seemingly, right? And then the third is one, if you guys want to take a stab at it, I'll tell you, but it's something you guys are kind of already doing.
Is
Do you want to
it-
guess?
Economic or real life experience?
You're hitting around it. You've got to be decent enough with math that you can contribute in a meaningful way to either your own business or somebody else's. You have to understand that the world operates around numbers.
Yeah.
And to the extent where you can help know, is this business profitable or not? Is this a good decision or a bad decision? You have to be able to apply numbers to wisdom, basically. And now you're ready to go out and be just about anything. But those three components are a necessary foundation, is what they would say. Pardon the brief interruption, but I want to tell you about a new sponsor who we are very excited to bring on board. They help you buy or sell an Amazon account. Did you know you can do that? Within Amazon's policy, completely legitimate. They've helped hundreds of others do these transactions. You can sell your Amazon account if you're done with it. If you haven't used it in a while, you know someone who's got one that they're not using, tell them about silentjim.com/buy or sell, BUYORSELL. Just spell it out like it's one word, silentjim.com/buy or sell. If you want to get a head start and get ramped up faster with category approval and some of the other challenges that come with having a new account, you can kind of skip over those. Again, this is Amazon approved transactions. They're going to vet you. The company that you're going to be buying the account from will be vetted as well. And again, we vouch for them because they've helped a whole bunch of people over the years in our community either buy or sell an Amazon account. That account that you have that's just sitting dormant, maybe it's a spare account you're not using any longer, it could be worth some money. So contact them. silentjim.com/buy or sell. Let's get back to the program. And to the extent where you can help know, is this business profitable or not? Is this a good decision or a bad decision? You have to be able to apply numbers to wisdom, basically. And now you're ready to go out and be just about anything. But those three components are a necessary foundation, is what they would say. But you guys are doing, I love you said you have no count, and it's like, okay, we're one short here, and being able to do the math quickly in their head and just on the basic number skills, right? So phenomenal job, guys. I'm so excited because I see the trajectory of where your family is heading and the benefits that we've certainly enjoyed. We've been able to go, for example, a month or 6 weeks and leave the country to somewhere to do some great work. Or, we adopted our daughter Avon when she was an infant, took the whole family down. We had an e-commerce business. All I needed was an internet connection. I had to go to the cafe, get hooked to the internet for a few hours a day, but we could be anywhere in the world and do that. Yeah. And that's where that's a trajectory, the family adventures and the lessons you're instilling is phenomenal. So excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Well, let's talk a little bit more about, I sidetracked us. It's my fault completely. But, the whole Idaho thing, we kind of got off track a little bit there. But so you got a good friend who's working for you with you now. What are her roles? What do you envision her doing? And what is the routine right now? Let's talk a little bit about that now that your team's grown a little bit beyond some neighborhood homeschool kids and, your own little ones. Talk me through the details, the routines, who does what.
So her role, I would say, is kind of fluid right now because we've never had a VA. So I feel like this is just something new that we're stepping into. So she's going to be learning with us. I've already done a Skype session with her where I kind of showed her how to build the listing. So we will provide her with the keywords and the phrases and the title and the pictures. So she knows what's going into the bundle, the listing. And then she will provide the key points and the description for us and maybe some additional content. So we're kind of going to be working on it together because she's like, oh, well, what should we include? I'm like, well, I don't have that written down. So I think we're going to kind of work together to build a structure that, hey, we want this many bullet points. We want the first one to have this. We want the second, third, fourth, fifth ones to have these key phrases in each bundle and then kind of build around that. So I think it's going to be a learning curve for both of us. And then I think we'll kind of lead up to where exactly we want her to be and what roles to take on. And the way that we envision is that as our business grows, so will her responsibilities. So maybe in the future, she's going to be adding the listings directly into our Amazon page, and she'll have access to the backend to import all the pictures and the key points and the weight dimensions, everything into it for us. The less work we do, the greater time I will have to homeschool because we officially started to homeschool this year. So there's just not enough hours in a day for everything. Mm-hmm. So I've kind of taken a step back. I used to do pretty much everything. And so I've kind of taken a step back. Vitaly's, come more into the business. So he's been more behind the keyword research and finding the REPLENS and finding the products. So he's kind of taken over that part and I've kind of let go because there's too many responsibilities and not enough hours in the day. And I'm like, I need more time to homeschool the kids. I have all the other, home stuff to take care of. And obviously my husband helps a lot as well. So when he's in California, our Amazon business kind of slows down a little bit where we're not really doing too much of the back end stuff. So I think with the VA, that will kind of help alleviate some of that lag time between the weeks. Because when he's back, he's fully into it and he'll spend all day on Amazon. But we kind of have to shift some of the responsibilities.
And last week, we actually we hired a person, Fiverr, to do A+ content for our listings. So, and we absolutely loved the guy's work, and he's going to be doing, more and more of our listings, improving A+ content, adding value to that, and saving our time as well. So we used to be all about we can do this, we got it. We love the heavy lifting. I built two websites and by myself. I've never went to school for it or anything. Just used YouTube and Google basically to figure it out. So now we're learning, and that's one of the lessons that I learned from you, Jim, is that focus on the things that only you can do. Mm-hmm. And basically hire people to do everything else. And that's kind of what I've been focusing this past, I want to say 6 months or so, is that we need to find the right people to do things that we used to do all ourselves, basically. So creating listings, A+ content, pictures. We used to do our own pictures, everything. Now we hire people and they'll do much better job, much better quality of the pictures, much
with
better.
Less time.
Yeah, with less time, because that's the area that they're good in. So we just basically give them the work, and that's kind of the lesson that we learn.
So it's not to say that it's not possible to do it yourself, but if you want to grow, at some point, you're going to have to let some things go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, in order to build a system that could be transferred to a new owner at some point, which is ultimately what all businesses should be aiming for.
Yeah.
Because all of us are temporary,
yeah.
Right? And you'd like to leave an asset behind. Like all this hard work, what are you building here? Are you just paying the bills, or are you actually building an asset that can be sold and passed on to someone else? Which is why the trajectory that we encourage, all new sellers start off with a business model that really it's kind of hard to transfer from seller A to seller B. It's kind of hard to sell your business to someone else and have them take over if you're doing the REPLENS model only. But you start getting your own brand. Well, that brand begins to get more valuable, and you've got your branded bundles, and you've got your momentum, you got your team, you got your systems where you're just monitoring the numbers. Well, that system could be handed to a new owner. You've actually built an asset at that point, or you launch your own product at some point. That's an asset. That's a brand. I've got someone I'm mentoring right now who has a brand that's worth, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's pretty incredible. And it started off very, very simple, like the stuff we're talking about right now. But he could cash out at any point, and it's just an incredible, amazing. But it had to start with a brand, right? Until you have a brand, you don't really necessarily have an asset that you can pass off. But you guys have a brand, and that's got, whether it's something you pass to your kids and they manage and run it, or something you sell at some point. But if you've got a brand and a system that supports that brand that could be handed to someone else, man, you've got an asset.
Yeah.
Like, one of these houses that you've, invested in, and, over time it becomes an asset. Initially, you work hard to get it, and you put some money, blood, sweat, and tears into it. Now it becomes a cash producing asset that could be sold. But in this case, e-commerce, you can take this business anywhere. That's the beauty of it. And you guys are doing really great. I'd love to hear some of the numbers. Whatever you're comfortable sharing. You've shared a little bit about, you had some really good months, some $9,000 months, I think you said early on, that sort of thing. Where are we at now? How many bundles do you have? How are they doing? What are your goals as we're recording this? We're starting to wrap up 2023, heading into 2024. Talk about that however you'd like. And let's paint a picture for the listeners.
So before Q4, we were kind of balanced at 26,000, 27,000 per month. Now last month we closed almost at $29,000, and we're not selling anything seasonal. We're selling just everyday kind of type of things that people buy usually. So we weren't expecting a huge spike in Q4, but we're focused on the things that are long term, that people continues to buy. Maybe later on we'll focus more on seasonal things like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day. But right now it's basically we like to diversify, so we sell home and kitchen products, and also groceries as well. So we're expecting to most likely close at 30,000 this month in December, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. But with VA, I'm hoping that we'll double or maybe even triple next year. And right now we're discovering we were a little bit lagging on the way we were doing our ads campaign. So we're trying to improve our ads campaign as well for some of the bundles. So I think that will help as well to increase those numbers. So right now we are close around 60 bundles total. A lot of them are in the testing time frame, and a lot of them are the ones that are actually being proven that they are successfully in the catalog of successful bundles. So currently about 60 bundles. And some private labels as well that we've been selling for a couple of years.
Oh, nice. Is it under the same brand?
Yes.
Fantastic. So all under one Amazon seller
account.
One
is different. Different.
So we have a couple ASINs that are on a non-branded brand, and then the other ones are under our brand.
Gotcha. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, because you mentioned different ways to do bundles. Ultimately, eventually, you want it all under your own brand. You're just a lot more susceptible. You're more vulnerable if it's not under that umbrella, right? But some people do very well that way as well. So you're talking about the different ways to do this, and that's the stuff we go into. I don't want to see people guess their way through this. I'm very proud of the Proven Branded Bundles course and the coaches we have in place and such, but because the rules are always changing. It used to be a lot easier to do some of the things than it is now, but the opportunity is bigger than it used to be, from my perspective. Just nothing else, just the sheer volume of people who are shopping and how much money they're spending online, on Amazon specifically, that number is rocketing upwards. All kinds of opportunity there. Well, I think, thanks for sharing those numbers. Do you happen to know approximately what your net margins are on those sales? You said approximately, you're going to do about 29, 30,000 this month, and that's kind of your goal as you guys get into next year is to double that. How are the margins looking?
So we have a little bit of REPLENS that are just there as merchant fulfilled, or just trying to kind of sell them out. So right now, our margins with the REPLENS is somewhere between 10% to 34% for branded bundles. So I would say in general, probably around 25%, because a lot of our branded bundles are 25 plus. So I was just looking today, we have like 28%, we have 30%. Our highest one is 34%, which is amazing. So it kind of, I think between the 10% for some of the, like the REPLENS to, the 34%, I think we're kind of somewhere in the solid 25% margin.
Right. Yeah, that sounds about right to me, since the bulk of your business is your bundles, and those are typically significantly better margins.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point of doing a bundle. The margin is much better typically than your average replen, which kind of can come and go over time. love that model. And I mean, we do thousands of dollars a day of that model, but it's intended to be a platform, a door opener that gets you into these other great opportunities as you guys have discovered and explored.
Yes.
Very well. Well, what else would you guys like to talk about or share from your story, or any other topics, questions for me? I like to do this towards the end of the episodes where I kind of turn it over. Maybe you guys had some things written down like, oh, we got to be sure to share this part of our story. Just, speak from the heart, feedback, questions. The floor is yours.
Well, Jim, this business model is very possible. One thing that I would like to emphasize for everybody is that once you commit your mind to something and stick with it consistently, things will happen. Progress will happen. And one of the testimonies is that my cousin Alex, he moved from Ukraine last year to the States, and without any English. He couldn't speak English, he couldn't read or write. So he went and got a regular job in construction, and basically because the state of California, they gave them welfare and everything. So he went and got a full-time job and said goodbye to all the welfare programs. Basically, he's like, I'm going to supply for my family. And at the same time, he was really interested in learning Amazon business. So I've been coaching him for the past, 6 months or so, how to find those products. And it's been a little hard because you have to translate all the Amazon terminologies into Russian, Ukrainian language. So we basically, but he had his first sale last month, actually, his first sales. And he was able to actually navigate with the gap between, languages and stuff like that. And, but I spoke with him yesterday, and I'm coaching him, currently coaching him how to use Keepa. He already knows how to use Keepa, and he's making it happen. And the guy that doesn't speak English.
That's so great.
So I would say that consistency and commitment. Once you commit your mind, you can make things happen. That's just how the world works, and you just have to put in effort.
So on that, Vitaliy is very much of like the go-getter. He's always been self-employed. I think he said, you were 14 and you were mowing people's lawns. So, he's been making money for himself and being his self-employed for a long time, but he has that desire. I don't really do that. So I do more of like the back end stuff. So I'm the bookkeeper. I'll take the phone calls. I'll do the computer stuff. I'm not an extrovert, so I don't really talk to people, but he's the extrovert. So will go and he'll talk to the managers. He will go and make things happen. He will move mountains to get to where he wants to go. So you really have to have that drive. If he wasn't around, I probably wouldn't be where I am with him in this business if I was doing it by myself. So sometimes I have to reel him a little bit back in, like, hey, you're going too far ahead of yourself. Slow down. We got to go,
Well, it's a very complementary skill set. A very complementary set, though. I mean, you need the visionary, the go-getter, and some people have both. Very rare. But typically you need that person kind of cleaning up behind you, like, all right, we got to file the paperwork. All right, this has to be shipped today. You can't just be going out and getting new products all the time. We have to actually send them in, so it's like, it's a nice balance. I see the couples that do it together, especially. And if you're not doing it as a couple, you'll need, as you build your team, that you need people different than you. Yeah. And I love how God does that in so many marriages too. Like pretty much every marriage I know of, they're so different in so many ways. I know it's certainly true. And my wife and I are going to be celebrating our 30th here next year. And just the number of ways we're different, but yet almost couldn't function without the other at this point, complementary. It's just amazing. You kind of grow into that over time and you embrace the specialization. And I love how like, I couldn't do it without him, but he certainly couldn't do it without you either. I'm sure of that. Right.
Yeah. Works both ways.
Yeah,
exactly. What a beautiful description of the system you guys have built.
Yeah, it's like, I'm so focused on finding more and more bundles, and I forget that we have a number. And so Vika reminds me, she's like, "Hey, I think we need to slow down finding new bundles. I think we need to we have a good number of bundles that actually need some work on. Like, for example, A+ content, pictures. You have to have 7 pictures as well. Good, good quality pictures. So I had to say, okay, fine. Let's go back and let's revisit some of those bundles that need some attention. And but she's definitely, without her, none of this would, because she's definitely good at what she does.
Well, there's a lot of lessons between the lines in today's episode, guys. That's beautiful. I love seeing families doing this stuff together, integration. Sometimes I'm asked the question, like, how do you balance it all? And I think you guys are another good illustration where I don't know that word comes up a whole lot in your house. I know it doesn't in mine. Balance, like, well, we integrate. Like,
Yeah.
how do we do it all at the same time? Right? Why do we have to balance dad time from business time from being a good spouse time when I separate all? No, I don't separate. I do them all at the same time as much as I
Yeah.
can. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of homeschooling and have a business at home. I can do all those things simultaneously. I've integrated my life to the point where there's overlap everywhere. So it's not balance anymore. It's, how's this loose end? Let's integrate it in, right? Need to spend more
Yeah.
time with that kid. All right, I'm going to teach you how to polybag today, right? Problem solved. They're going to get some math skills. They're going to get some dad time. They're going to get some business skills, right? The homeschooling, it's all in there. I just love how you guys have built your life around this, because I feel like our family is a testament. Like, hey, this is a really cool way to build a family, and our relationship, my wife and I, is stronger because of it. Even though she was nowhere near as involved as you are, Vika, as far as the day-to-day operation of the business. She was very much the homeschool side, but she still added a lot to the business. Just she can read people better than anyone. So over the years, as I've grown our team and she gets to know people, like, her first impressions are just spot on. It's crazy. The few times we've ignored her first impressions, like, I could be wrong, but I'm like, oh man, we should have listened to her. Right. So the
Yeah.
female intuition is, I'll just tell you this. If your wife is ever like, I'm not sure, listen to it, dude. Because even if she doesn't know why she feels that way, there's a reason, man. So that's some
And I
good.
do for the most part, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what else is on your list? Anything else you guys have on your mind to share before we start to wrap this one up? You've been very generous with your time. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just wanted to emphasize again that a lot of people might get, shy away from branded bundles because it's a commitment you have to put in work. But, today we have so many tools available that helps us to build those branded bundles. For example, we use ChatGPT and a few other AI softwares that help us to get the keywords, that help us to get the content that we need and modify that content as well. We have tools in place to make those, take those pictures, really good quality pictures, hire people to do that for us, basically. So, I have a philosophy. It's where there's a will, there's a way. So as long as there's a will, you will find a way how to create those listings, how to create those bundles. And yeah, people can do it. And, if my cousin who doesn't speak English and he's able to find REPLENS now, he's able to read Keepa and
That's
read
phenomenal.
that, graph. I don't know why average American cannot,
Yeah. I love killing those excuses. I recorded a podcast not too long ago. I don't know if you guys caught it or not, about the immigrant advantage. I don't know if you happen to catch that one.
think I've
Immigrant
listened to
spelled
that.
with an E, which means
Yeah.
they accept the culture that they've moved into. Immigrant with an E, right?
Hmm.
There's a significant advantage. I mean, this is a statistical fact that people who immigrate with an E into a new culture have an advantage from a business perspective, specifically in the West, as they come to the United States. Like, what's going on there? It was a great book I read. That was the title of it, Immigrant Advantage. And just kind of exploring what's going on. I think it's an appreciation for, I think it starts with gratitude and appreciation for, like, this is unusual. The opportunities we have, the time we live in, the country we live in, the freedoms we have in all of human history, it's pretty unusual. And sometimes you've got to come from a harder place to really appreciate the opportunities. And the last thing you want to do once you truly appreciate the opportunity is waste your opportunity. So there's just a different level of commitment and determination. I could even hear it in the way you were explaining your cousin and describing him. Like, he was not going to settle for welfare. He's going to provide for his family. Like, there's a sense of pride there. It doesn't even exist in some folks, if they were born into thinking like, oh, the country owes me stuff because I'm here. No,
Well, I
that's
think,
not how the world works.
yeah, I think we also have kind of that advantage for our own families because both of our families, we immigrated. I've been here since I was 3, my husband since he was 10. So we saw our parents work hard. My dad, similar story. He came, he was in his 20s, 3 young kids, young wife, no language. They moved. He basically rejected welfare. Also, he worked 3 jobs. He went to night school to learn English. And now he's successfully working, for a good company. But, we kind of grew up with that of, you come here and you're so thankful for the opportunities that are here.
Mhm.
And then a lot of the Americans, they don't take advantage of that and say, oh, I can't make it here. You can. You just need to have the will to be able to do that.
It's almost a mindset, a perspective thing. It's like a fish doesn't realize he's in water. You throw that same fish up on the beach for 10 minutes, he has a new appreciation for water once he gets back in it, right? So if you start as like that, almost a starvation, and that's in part of your family's history, is that starving for freedom and opportunity. And I say it all the time, there has never been a better time or better place to be in world history. If you're wanting to grow something significant, have a successful business, never been a better time or better place than right now in the US with internet access everywhere and all the incredible opportunities that are just abundantly available. So yeah, well said. Where did your family come from, Vika?
So mine is from Siberia, Russia, and my husband's from Ukraine.
Okay. Wow. That's fascinating. Well, we've got a son. I probably mentioned it to you at some point, I think when we chatted at the last event, that my oldest son he's from Russia, right at Rostov. So right on the border. Like he would be right in the middle of the conflict right now. Like he'd be right had he not been adopted. He was an orphan. He's in his mid-20s, married at this point, but it works in our business. Actually, he's one of he's working with a partner of ours. So I've got three of my kids at any given time, arguably four at any given time, kind of doing the same type of stuff that we do around here in e-commerce. So our family's been built around it. But yeah, lots of ties to that part of the world, and praying for resolution there. A lot of good people, that I know on both sides of that thing. That's just tragic for me. So I can't imagine having a family like, you guys are kind of on both sides of it. That's crazy.
One of my hopes is that once we grow our business to where we're comfortable enough to maybe share some of our profits with some other organizations. My cousin who lives in Kyiv, she's actually been studying, what is it, psychology, and she's a Christian also. And there's a big need right now in psychology in Ukraine because there's a lot of broken families, a lot of people that are wounded, a lot of people that are brokenhearted. So I'm hoping that we'll get to the position where we could actually send some of our funds and help her start the ministry there in Kyiv to actually maybe start a nonprofit organization there that will help people, because there's going to be, hundreds of thousands of people that will need that type of assistance. So that's kind of one of our needs.
Part of your vision.
One of my
ministry in Kyiv and I have fond memories of that nation, man. It breaks my heart. I spent a good amount of time. I don't remember if we talked about it or not, but I was in Kyiv for about 6 weeks playing basketball. This is early 90s, but I just loved it. I loved my time there. And of course, I'm going back and adopting a son from nearby in Russia, Rostov.
Nice.
But well, man, it's been great getting to know you guys.
Likewise.
Truly special time. Are you guys planning now? We mentioned before we started recording that you guys have an anniversary coming up. You're not sure if you're planning on coming to the conference or not, but tickets are on me if you can come. If that helps, just let me know. As a way of saying thank you, conference tickets are on me.
My kids have been saving money already as they were helping us package stuff. We told them that there's a possibility that we might go to Florida. And they're really excited about it. So they've been saving money already for that trip.
Wow.
So
because it is right next to SeaWorld. So when your kids listen to this episode, they're going to really put the pressure on. Now it's like, Dad, he said he would pay for the tickets. Tickets from me. I would love to see you guys there. There's going to be a lot of families there this year. The resort's really cool. So if there's any way we can swing it, even if you guys, and if you celebrate your anniversary, miss a day or two, whatever, just to have you there, like day one, be there. If at all possible. Love to see you guys again, and so much more to talk about and get caught up on. You guys are some of those people that I just shake my head that I'm surrounded with so many quality people that I just wish I could spend a few days with and get to know. You're certainly on that list from my vantage point.
Thank you, Jim. I want to thank you as well for all that you do. Your team, your coaches. You guys provide such a good quality material and changing people's lives. So thank you so much for that as well. It's a history will be written well about you, Jim Cockrum.
It's all stewardship, man. And you as a believer understand what I mean by that, right? None of this belongs to me. I return it all back to the Father upon request. That's what stewardship is. But I'm honored to play the role that I've been asked to play. And it's just a privilege and an honor. Seriously, great hanging out with you guys today.
And likewise.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to talk to the listeners for a second before we wrap this thing up and then head off to whatever the next episode is. I got another one on my schedule today. I got to look it up. But hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. I've certainly got to know our guests better. Hopefully you did as well. But hopefully you're encouraged and inspired. You feel more equipped to build a beautiful business. I'm going to, I think, end the episode here. If you want to talk to someone on our team about your business, about what you're trying to build and help you shape it out a little bit, get on our calendar. It's a free call. You can book a call at your convenience. Go to silentjim.com/book a call. Those 3 words squeezed together, book a call, and get on the line with someone from our team. I've had the same team working for me for years now, helping new students navigate our coaching services and our products, our courses. They're going to leave you better than they found you. It's a very low pressure conversation about your business. We'd love to have a chat with you. So I think that's my call to action today is hop on our calendar if you've never done so. And maybe you can be a coaching student, or maybe we'll just help you out with some free resources depending on where you're positioned. We'd love to have a conversation with you. But God bless all the business building warriors out there. Again, to my guests, you guys did such a great job today. It was great hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much. Vitali and Vika, you were tremendous. And can't wait to see you guys. It sounds like hopefully in May.
Hopefully, yes. Thank you, Jim.
All right. God bless you guys. Have a great rest of your day. And all the business building warriors, will have another great episode for you again very soon. Talk to you then.